Mm-hmm. My following testimonial gives details about what to do after a serious accident in a foreign country, including how to handle hospitals and doctors. March 9, 2007, I decided to drive a heavy Harley Davidson motorcycle in a small town in Thailand. I had not ridden such a large motorcycle since 1968. I thought that I would be safe in a small town, but a group of five tourists stepped into the street about 20 feet in front of me without looking first. There were no intersection crossing, drive, or other signs, but they crossed the street carelessly. There were cars on my right, so I could not pull to that lane and avoid hitting the pedestrians. Although I was traveling only 18 miles per hour, I did not have the experience to know how to avoid hitting them. I slammed on the brakes and skidded sideways toward them. The motorcycle fell onto the pavement on the top of my right leg. The bike did not have a leg bar to prevent injury, so when the motorcycle hit pavement, my leg was caught between the cycle and pavement. The cycle pulled my leg with it while the pavement worked opposite the momentum and pulled my thigh and hip away from my lower leg. My right tibia was split from the knee to mid-shin. The backside of the tibia bone had a wedge space about 1 through 8 inch wide. Skin, muscle, and bone were scraped by the ashplat from the right palm, wrist, forearm, elbow, upper arm, back, outside knee, lower leg, ankle, and foot. I was lying on the street in excruciating pain for 15 minutes. The pain was relentless to the point that I thought my leg had been torn from my knee. It took me about 1.5 minutes after the accident before I looked to see if my leg was attached to my body. It was, but looked mangled at the knee. I refused to go to hospital. I paid a canopy-covered pickup taxi driver to transport me to my hotel. I cleaned my wounds with lime juice and coated them with coconut cream and honey. I did not have any gauze to cover and protect them, so I left them open to air. About 2 hours after the accident, the pain had not subsided. Normally, I would have not sought medical help, but I thought that my knee had been dislocated because it was mangled and excruciatingly painful. I went to the hospital to have my leg realigned. At the hospital, physicians refused to do anything until I had x-rays. I agreed to only 2 x-rays, top and outside views of the knee and connecting bones. After x-ray analysis, doctors said that they needed to reunite the 2 tibia segments and pin them together. Portions of the top of the tibia broke, splintered, and logged into the femur joint concave. Doctors said that if they did not perform surgery and remove the fragments, I would never walk. Tendons on both sides of my knee had been torn completely from the bone at opposite ends of each tendon, causing lumps the size of golf balls. Doctors said that they had to reattach them or I would never be able to lift my leg at the knee. The chief osteosurgeon planned to cut the outside of my right leg from the ankle to the hip, including muscles, reunite the tibia, and pin it with 6 or 10 metal screws, scrape the tibia bone fragments from the femur knee joint, reattach the knee tendons, and stitch the leg incision. They wanted to call in a plastic surgeon to graft skin from my buttocks and left thigh to my hand, arm, elbow, and leg. Since my leg was not dislocated, I declined medical assistance, saying I was on a diet that could heal it without surgery. The main surgeon winced at my insane to him statement. I told him that if I could not walk in 6 weeks, I would return for their help. That placated the chief surgeon because he was certain that I would need help. I did not request, nor did they offer to apply a cast. I returned to the hotel and ate a slightly different diet regimen. Instead of enjoying several small portions of different unripe fruits for my once daily fruit meal to help bone healing, I made a mixture of 1 cup pineapple, 3 to 4 cup coconut cream, 2.5 honey, 1 cup raw milk. I drink some of that every 3 to 4 hours, eating about 2 tablespoons of cheese prior to each time I drank the mixture. That regimen helped cleanse and restructure my bones. Quart of raw milk daily, because I was in the tropics and did not use air conditioning. My meat intake was less than I eat while in temperate climates. I found that most people need less meat in tropical climates if drinking enough milk. My girlfriend shopped and prepared my food for me and helped tend my wounds. For my abrasions where skin, muscle, and a little bone were scraped from the right palm, arm, back, leg, and foot, I gently applied lime juice for 3 minutes. That stung terribly. Without rinsing the lime juice from the wound, I gently applied a thin layer of coconut cream. That also stung. After that, I or my girlfriend gently applied a layer of unheated honey, which also stung. We moistened cotton gaze with coconut cream and coated one side with 132 layer of raw butter to prevent my wounds from drying and gaze from sticking to my many abstractions. We loosely wrapped the leg with an ace bandage. I experienced severe pain regularly. Any movement increased pain. I used hot water bottles to increase circulation, which increased swelling and ensured increased nutrient flow to injuries. The heat also allowed everything to relax. Pain subsided but never disappeared. Sometimes I woke up to such excruciating pain that I immersed myself in a very warm bath that relaxed my entire body, and I could cope with the pain relatively easily. Many times I ate uneaten honey/butter mixture to reduce pain. Other times I ate about 2 inches of unripe banana and 2 tablespoons raw butter to reduce pain. I urinated in bottles so that I would not have to travel to the bathroom. When I went to the bathroom, I traveled from my bed to the bathroom door in a wheelchair, and from the door to the toilet of the tub with crutches. I had to sit at one of the end of the tub, lift my injured leg with my hands, place my leg onto the side of the tub, adjust my body, then lift my leg with my hands and ease into the tub. For about 2 weeks, the pain was sometimes excruciating. Several times daily, usually at night, I woke moaning or screaming. 3 times I cried. The only pain relievers I consumed were honey, butter, mixture, and banana butter combination. That usually took effect in minutes. When experiencing excruciating pain, most of the time I immediately made the challenging journey to the bathtub and immersed myself in relaxing, pain-relieving warm water. Because my right hip and buttock had sustained major bruises, I mainly lied on my left buttocks and hip. I kept my leg raised with pillows, especially one under my knee to reduce stress in the knee. Having to sustain all the body's prone weight on the bed every minute that I was not in the bathtub, my left buttock and hip quickly very sore because of that. For the first 2 weeks, I spent about 6 hours daily, 1 to 2 hours at a time in the bathtub with sea salt, 2 cups coconut cream that made my body buoyant, taking most of the pressure of my prone body and almost completely relieving my agony. Occasionally, I sat in my wheelchair for up to 30 minutes. After several weeks, I sat in my wheelchair up to 2 hours working on my computer at a desk. Because raw milk was hard to get and coconut cream was very easy to acquire and cheap in Thailand, I used coconut cream in the USA. I would have used raw milk in the bath instead of coconut cream. An interesting phenomenon began the day after the accident. Gradually, over the next 5 days, my large right thigh muscles considerably diminished to the size of my calf. From my ankle to mid-thigh, my right leg correspondingly hardened like bone that provided a natural cast protecting my leg. Within 10 days, my tendons have completely regrown and reconnected. However, my greatest pain continued to be at the points where the tendons had torn from my knee. Pain traveled from one injured site to another. On the 10th day, I was able to leave the hotel and walked with crutches without exerting any weight on the leg. On the 12th day, I convinced the hotel owner that she could reduce the chlorine in the pool without causing allergy problems to pool surfaces. She agreed, and I walked at the deepest end of the pool where my body was so buoyant that my leg received very low pressure from my body weight. After 5 days, the water was green with algae without affecting the pool surfaces, but the hotel owner resumed the full chlorine treatment at the 16th day. I was able to walk with crutches across the street and sandy beach to the sea. I walked about 1 mile on the sea twice daily at 7 a.m. and 5:30 p.m., about 1.5 hours each, exercising my leg at the time. I had only about 19% body fat. I like to maintain 22 to 25%. From the accident, I lost about 15 pounds, 19% body fat, and was enough to make my body buoyant, to reduce my body weight in water, about 1/4. I experienced pain, but not severely. Within 6 weeks, I walked on land without crutches, with some pain mainly in the knee. After 6.5 weeks in the hotel room, I returned to the USA. I resumed my larger meat consumption and drank up to 1.5 quarts of raw milk daily. Within 2 months, my body fat level was up 22%. If I had let the doctors commit surgery, they would have cut my leg from the ankle to the hip, cut away muscle and severed connective tissue and other tendons to get into the knee socket. I have seen many people with similar surgeries. The leg on which surgery had been performed is thinner than the others, with anteprophid muscles and huge scars. Those people and others have had less knee/leg surgery than was intended for me have not completely healed after 7 to 25 years. Since I refused surgeries, the only work my body had to do was cleanse from repair damage, not recover from an increasingly unnecessarily invasive surgeries that caused 2 to 5 times more damage than the original injuries. The natural cast on my body seemed to form from my thigh muscles, gradually softened, and my thigh muscles returned correspondingly. It has been 1 year since the accident. Although I cannot completely straighten my right leg at the knee, 3 weeks ago on a beach on Antigua Island, I sprinted about 200 yards painlessly. If I run in the knee at my present rate of repair, my leg should be able to completely straighten within 4 months more.